Hey everybody, this is Chris from STEMcoding Project. We haven't had a video in a while, but boy have we been busy creating new activities, creating the site, all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about it now. Welcome to a new STEMcoding video. All right, so what is this? So I am announcing here a new site that we made called explore.stemcoding.org. We've been working on this for a while. We had kind of like a beta version of it up last summer. But now I feel like we've really put in a lot of great work to make it look really nice. And what's great about it is that it shows all of our activities, not just the ones that are on YouTube. And so there's like 58 activities in all these different categories. And many of them are new, and I'm going to talk about some of the activities that are new in just a second. But the STEMcoding team, which includes myself, math professor Scott Zimmerman, Julie Butler, Jessica Culp, we've all been working our butts off here, and so I'm proud to kind of show it off to you all today. So the STEMcoding project is a partnership between Ohio State University and University of Mount Union, which is where Julie Butler works she's a data science and physics professor. I'm a physics professor, Scott's a math professor, Jessica's an education PhD student. Together we are Team STEMcoding, all right? What's new? All right, well this is a little bit late, but we have World Cup soccer brackets. So the World Cup, as I'm recording this, the World Cup is coming up on Sunday. It's going to be Argentina versus Spain. But what's cool about this activity is that when I finally fill in all the slots here, then a QR code is going to pop up like that. See? And so you can scan that code with your phone and bring up the same bracket that you made, and or you can take this binary code and you can open this up again, put that binary code in here, and it will load up that bracket for you that you picked out. So in that way, it kind of saves all of your choices. And so there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about here. Is like there's so many different possibilities of brackets. There's quadrillions or whatever brackets that you could possibly do. And so you can represent that with a binary, base 10 or hexadecimal, URL. You can represent all those different possibilities. Like you can kind of see here with this base 10 number of how many different possibilities there are. So this is like the 2 billionth, 2 quadrillion, I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities there. But you can talk about how this number is basically representing the same thing. So there's a lot of great computer science concepts. Why am I talking about this now? Well, when it comes time for March Madness, and we're going to do something similar, where you can fill out the men's bracket or you can fill out the women's bracket, and then it'll give you this QR code and help you to think about how many there are insane number of possibilities that are there. So this activity is kind of connected to, if you go to our activities here, and you go down to math, you'll find this page here. And so that links to the World Cup thing. But when we're back for March Madness, so we're going to fill those in with the actual teams. So, and it'll create the QR code and all that stuff. So this is one of the great things we've been working on, which I'm glad to show off. The other thing I want to work, so in order of timeliness of like in the news of things that people have been thinking about, today, like right outside my window, you can't see it now, but today, so I live in Columbus, Ohio. Today apparently is the worst ever recorded air quality in central Ohio. So if I go to airnow.gov and I put in, let's say I put in the zip code of Ohio State University, the air quality right now in where I live is almost off the scale, right? And you can even see this map of how bad, like it looks like it's cloudy to me today, but it's not clouds, it's all smoke. It's that bad, right? So that's something that's happening in the news right now, how does that connect to our site? Well, we have a whole category now of public health activities. And so one of the activities that we built this summer is this one. And it goes into questions like, what does this number mean? What does it mean that the air quality index is 335? What does it mean that the air quality index is 61? Right? And so it gets into what it was an index. Why do we want to create these kinds of dashboards? Why are we even using a number to explain how good or how bad the air quality is, right? And so we get into that with the air quality index. We talk about the UV index, which is a little bit simpler to explain than the air quality index. UV index is basically this times a constant is what the UV index is, whereas the air quality index is a little bit more complicated. And the air quality index, that number depends on 5 or 6 different things, right? So one of them is smoke or dust. So we call that particulate matter, right? How much smoke or dust or particles are there in the atmosphere? It could also depend on ozone. So last week we had a day where the ozone in central Ohio was high. Or it could depend on these other things, and depending on which part of the United States or the world that you live in, it might be these other sources that are more important. If you live next to a factory, for example, you might have to worry about those more than these two. Today, the problem is that there's been these wildfires in Canada, and the smoke from those wildfires is here, and so that's causing the PM 2.5, the particulate matter that is less than 2.5 microns in diameter is the reason why the air quality is so bad. So smoke involves these very small particles. So there's actually a spreadsheet activity here where it talks about how each source of danger to human health, you calculate a number for each one of those, and then you take the maximum of those numbers, and that's how the air quality index is defined. They could have defined it in a different way, and you can get to talk about that in this activity. And there's even like a spreadsheet task. You can download this data, and you can open it up. I'm a nerd, so I use LibreOffice, but you can use Google Sheets or Excel, and this is the data that pops up. And so in a crazy week in this fictional town, there's all sorts of different air quality numbers, and you have to use your spreadsheet skills to figure out the overall air quality index. So many other fun stuff that we've developed here. The one that I'm the most proud of, the one that was the most fun for me to make, was actually a series of 3 activities on the ozone layer. And so first of all, I'm a very proud American, but I have to hand it to the European Space Agency for making the coolest visualization of the hole in the ozone layer that I've ever seen. And so that's what we're going to start out. So the first step in this series of 3 activities is geek out on the ozone layer. Go check out these websites. Go check out the European Union ozone site. Go check out the Wikipedia page on the ozone layer. Watch this video from NASA on what the ozone hole is. And the premise of this activity is that in the late 1980s, the United Nations got the nations together to create a kind of a treaty so that people would stop producing the chemicals that were doing this, that were causing this problem, right? There's certain kinds of chemicals, including hairspray products in the 80s, refrigerants, and we would use those chemicals, but then some of them would leak from time to time, and when they would leak, they would go up into the upper atmosphere, and they would react with ozone. Ozone is when 3 oxygen atoms are connected together, do a very, very good job of stopping ultraviolet radiation. And so what was happening is that if you were on the South Pole, you could get very, very bad sunburn during certain parts of the year. But the worry was that this hole was just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But they were able to prevent that from happening, basically. But we're going to make up our own mind about exactly to what extent they prevented that and how quickly is this healing itself if you go back, 100 years. There should not have been a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica, and so we think that by shutting off these chemicals that this hole will close, right? But How long is that going to take? How quickly is it going to take? Those are all questions that you could do a PhD thesis trying to understand. We're going to look at the data for ourselves, and we're going to try to make up our own minds about how long we think it might take for the ozone layer to recover. Is the ozone layer recovering? We're going to dig into all that. The first step is to geek out on the ozone layer, learn a little bit about the ozone layer, and then the second big part of the activity is using the Mine Acid Data website, which is this really cool website that I learned about, Mine Acid Data. Here we go. There's a lot of stuff on this website, but it's data that is kind of prepackaged for use in classrooms. And the thing that fascinated me is that when you do a search on this website, there really wasn't anything on ozone, but when you go to this thing called the Earth System Data Explorer, which is this really cool thing that's about to come up, you can find ozone data. And so specifically, if you go to the atmosphere, you go to atmospheric chemistry, there's one of the options here is monthly air column concentration of ozone. You can go back and look at the ozone concentration. And you can do that for a particular month, and that's fine. But what's interesting is that there's an option here for time series data table. And so you can put in your latitude and longitude. An interesting latitude and longitude to do would be the South Pole, which is at negative 90 degrees latitude, 0 degrees longitude. And so we can put those coordinates in and then generate a data table. And we have our ozone measurements at the South Pole, and we can download that data and put that into a sheet. But I'm so excited about this Mine Acid Data page, and there's all sorts of other stuff we could use with this data, and I'm curious to hear what people think we should make with it. But this spring, I worked really hard to create 3 activities that use this data. So the first part is introducing the ozone and introducing Mine Acid Data. The second part is extracting the data that like I just showed you. And then the third part is thinking about how quickly the ozone layer might be healing itself. So really proud of those activities. I actually got to email some of the people from the Mine Acid Data team as I was doing that, so I'm grateful for their help. I'm happy to help advertise their page. And this is by far my favorite activity that I've built for our channel. So that's what I want to highlight for now. There's various other activities here to show off. There's a whole bunch of new stuff in data science. So this one's new. Like I said, that one is new. The ozone is new. Let's see, what's the other new one? This one is new. We've improved the solar cell activities. We have some updates to the solar cell activity, which we still need to make a video for. But there's so much cool stuff on this site. We're so proud of it, and we're happy to share it with you. And please give us some feedback. So teachers, you can join our Discord channel here if you like, or people can send us a message on social media here. And yeah, we hope that you enjoy this and it makes your classroom a little bit more fun. And thanks for listening.